Hi everybody, this is Jeremy Dunham, Editor-in-Chief of the IGN PlayStation team, and today we're looking at Bully. Of course, of all the misrepresented software out there, Rockstar's Bully is definitely one of the most targeted. It's been hailed as the Grand Theft Auto in high school, a Columbine simulator, and other monikers, but these are all by opponents who actually haven't played it yet. But the real question is all this moral grandstanding and forecasted warnings really warranted? And more importantly, is the game even good enough to deserve this much press to begin with? The answer to the first question is no. Bully isn't any more inappropriate than what's on TV. While the game is packed with an abundance of off-color humor and some gross situations, the material here doesn't really stray too far to line. The answer to question number 2 is a little less controversial. Yes, Bully is good enough to deserve its heavy press. Though we've seen this sort of open-ended, mission-based world design from Rockstar before, Rockstar Vancouver has tweaked the gameplay enough to make it a unique experience with that familiar feeling. If you've played Grand Theft Auto before, or any of its clones, then you should have no problem picking this up and playing it right away. The mechanics, the storytelling, its techniques, and overall feel of the game are definitely recognizable for fans of the GTA series. Elements from San Andreas, Manhunt, The Warriors, that's all in there. But the scope is actually different. This is a tale about the township of Bulworth and its particularly rough scholastic system, so everything about the experience has been scaled down to fit that ideal. That doesn't mean the Bully is small in size, mind you, because Jimmy's story is actually quite enormous. There's more than 100 NPCs, multiple commercial and residential neighborhoods, a giant body of water, secret areas, and an outsized school grounds. So there's definitely plenty to do. In fact, it isn't a stretch of the imagination to say The Bully is one of the largest and deepest games that we've seen on PlayStation 2 all year. The first chapter of the game is built as a tutorial, and because it's sort of slow and easygoing, it might put off some of the more action-oriented gamers out there. But once the second chapter starts, things really start to open up. Jimmy can take part in practically every activity you'd imagine a teen doing in his spare time. Bicycle racing, skateboarding, picking up girls, these are all things that Jimmy can do. He can even take jobs to earn extra money, which he can then use to buy food or clothes or other things that you might need. Working at the local burger joint, running errands for classmates and businesses, mowing lawns, even taking a paper route, these are all things you can do, and they're a lot of fun to play. Most of Bully's main missions and side jobs are all played out the same way, either with the third-person fetch questing or hand-to-hand pressure-sensitive combat. You'll spend most of your time locating, delivering packages, escorting friends, or exploring the township of Bulworth, compared to beating people up. But when the time does come to throw down, you'll still have plenty of tools to go with. Along with the basic punches and kicks, you'll also be able to upgrade your fighting acumen by attending gym class, delivering transistor radios, an old Korean war vet who teaches you moves, or by hopping into a boxing ring with a bunch of preppies. By the end of the game, Jimmy is a well-rounded anti-troublemaking machine who can give better than he can get. And you're not limited to just kicks, punches, and throws either. Jimmy can also use weapons like eggs, firecrackers, stink bombs, cricket bats, fire extinguishers, and even a slingshot with a sight scope on it. It's pretty badass. Strong combat is all fine and good, but if you don't have any enemies to test your skills against, it really doesn't matter. Luckily, Bully has them, and each one of the 6 factions in the game has their own unique fighting style with particular strengths and weaknesses. When you throw in the boss fights, some pretty aggressive AI, and helpers to fight alongside you, you've got pretty much everything you need for some real fun brawling. Sadly, it's not as difficult as other action games, but it's still fun. Of course, the real trick is finding the time necessary to seek out new missions and battle your would-be oppressors. Attending both morning and afternoon classes is a must for Jimmy if he doesn't want to get busted for truancy or learn the more advanced skills. But this system deserves kudos and criticisms. On the one hand, it's great to see Rockstar promoting the need for students to attend class by making them useful to in-game skill building, but after you've bested 5 sessions in all 6 classes, there's really not a reason to go back. This sort of setup may be ideal for finding side missions, but it makes the scholastic component feel a little bit under-realized. Giving users an incentive to keep going back again and again would have been a better move than just making them obsolete once beaten. Still, Bully's classroom sequences are still a lot of fun while they last, and they're made up of a number of different mini-games that throw elements from all sorts of different classics in there, be they kicks, or some of the old-school 2D racers, you name it, it's in there. There are a number of other distractions worth mentioning, too. There's, on top of the fake arcade games we've already mentioned, there's also a traveling carnival you can visit, complete with attractions and rides that you can hop on and fly around in. You can trade all the tickets you've earned for prizes. You can even hop in the boxing ring and fight a punch-out style match against preppies who challenge you. What stands out above all else in Bully, though, is its storyline and presentation. It's sort of become the standard in other Rockstar titles for it to set the bar in terms of characterization and humor, but in Bully, both of those components are top-notch. It's easily one of the funniest PlayStation 2 titles we've ever seen, and it's one of the few pieces of software out there that you can actually call a comedy.
Taste the chemical freshness. Awesome! Excuse me.
Another important aspect of the game's presentation can be found with its audio. Though its press materials boast more than 39,000 lines of conversation, which somehow suffers from repetition during the free exploration moments, Bully's soundtrack is really what stands up and makes our ears take notice. It's subtle, mischievous, entirely original, and it's really worth listening to.
Darby, here's some more tactics for you, poor boy.
Now, if you're a graphics whore, then Bully's visuals are just a step below its acoustic presentation. But because of the game's narrower focus and fewer characters, the Grand Theft Auto engine that it uses benefits from a higher level of detail than we've seen before. Buildings, indoor locations, outside environments, weather effects, all these things are of the utmost quality and help show off Rockstar's best-looking PS2 game since Manhunt. Unfortunately, there are a few camera problems here and there, especially when you're on the BMX driving or walking some of the tighter indoor environments, but overall, it's made better by an exceptional art style and the aforementioned details. Now, with all the praise that we've given Bully compared to its criticisms, one might wonder if there's actually anything significant that gave us problems. There actually was, most especially the large amount of backtracking they have to undertake. Players are going to spend a colossal amount of time hopping from one end of the map to another, even if they focus solely on the story-related objectives. There were also a few rare instances where we encountered bugs like activating a couple of missions which stopped working midway for no reason. It wasn't bad considering our experience and the time we put into it, roughly 40 to 45 hours, but with nearly 3 years of development time and a smaller scale than GTA, it was still surprising to see. But overall, Bully is an interesting game. Leading up to its release, it really didn't receive the gameplay coverage or high-end expectations from insiders that Grand Theft Auto usually does. And yet somehow it still kept that franchise's reputation for excessive violence and adult behavior. That's why I think that in a lot of ways, Bully is going to surprise people with what it is. It's much better and funnier than what people are giving it credit for, while still coming across as much tamer than those who feared it expected it to be. Regardless, Bully is a great, well-crafted action game that has one of the best senses of humor around and dozens of hours of fun. What's that mean for you? That means an 8.9 out of 10 from us, and to check out the full written review, check out IGN.com, and we'll see you next time.
Back off! I'll put you in your place!